So once you've learned the principles of lifting, what you want to do is start to look at how you can make them more creative. And what we mean by making them more creative is to look at how you can change the shapes using the grips to find different ways into the lifts and how you can move each other. Now you can find different ways to use a wrap or clump over the body, and it can have a different shape. What we've done here is we've created a journey that has also an element of using the space. So let's have a look at what you guys have found with the principles.
Yeah.
So we're starting there with the clamp lift and using the rolling elements. We've got a wrap, going into another wrap, and then using the space here to find another way of coming out and recovering from the lifts. Good. An element of wrap. Really make sure that you understand those mechanics. Then the next step is to start to look at, okay, how can we change it? Make it more interesting for us and more creative physically. With our team, we've found a version with 3 people using the principles of lifting. These guys are clearly starting from the wrap principle. You can see that nicely. Great. Keeping going. There's a clamp, a bit of a wrap. Great. And again, a wrap. So what this gives, we have 3 people now involved in the lifting. So already it changes the way the lifts are created, makes them look different within the shapes. Great. And then we've got a clamp that goes higher up, 2 people. Once you've started to find a creative way into the lifts and finding new different shapes, it's not just about making things look great. We also then want to think about how we want to make it useful when we're telling a story. Just as an additional thing within the layers that you've already found, what I just want you to do as a task is to keep an eye on each other throughout. So your focus doesn't go out into the space, but stays within your eye contact. So at all times, you want to try to make the effort to see each other. And at times it might be impossible, and see how that might change your moves, whether there's moments of slowing down to really catch the eyes.
I'm just going to take what Krista was saying and apply it to the second group. Now their work was great, really interesting to look at, but to be quite honest, from my point of view, I'm seeing 2 people lift 1 person, put them down, and then 2 people lift another person and put them down. And I think it needs to be more than that. So I want to try and find a way of making it more than that by using Krista's task of the focus. So guys, what we're going to do is just do that, okay? Keep your moves as they are, but just try and find each other. So when you come through a move, try and make eye contact with whoever it is you find, and we'll see whether that changes your physicality, changes the dynamic slightly. Gav and Sean look at each other, there you go. What we're starting to see is the potential to explore little relationships. That's just a little test to see what emerged. You would then return to that, see whether that's the wrong kind of connection or the right kind of connection. Ultimately, what you're looking for is making people fly. If you're watching the relationship, you're not necessarily seeing the mechanics of the lift. It makes the lift surprising, makes it much more magical.
Another thing that you want to consider when you're looking at different ways of being creative within the sequences that you've found is the dynamics of the moves, whether you're moving fast or slow and what range is that. So what I'd like you guys to try is to see how fast you can go. The main idea is to see if we can, as an element of what emerges, whether there is some form of a race between three people trying to get somewhere. But that's just a question. So let's see how fast we can go, stay in control and be really precise there with the moves. Just allow it to be playful. So we know that our dynamics, we have to move fast, we keep looking at each other. Also, just let's set the tone. So you're three people in the space, keep that starting point really calm, establish the eye contact with each other, and then who moves first? And what is that moment? And if it makes you laugh, you can laugh.
What Krista was exploring there was some of the presumptions we make about the work. Just because we've rehearsed it one way, we don't have to continue rehearsing it in that way. We can challenge it. We challenge our presumptions. So I'm just going to work with Lindsay and Perry here, and we're just going to adjust it. So what I want you to do is just stand in front of each other just before you start your work, just in the position to do. And this is going to be the first presumption. So off you go. Okay, stop there. Why is that okay? Why is that okay to just reach a hand out and touch a stranger's hand? Or maybe you're not a stranger. Maybe you know each other. Maybe you're intimately related, okay? Now that's the presumption. We haven't explored that. We don't know what touch means between them. We don't know what this energy and tension is between them. So we would spend time exploring that. That's incredibly important. We don't have much time for that now, but let's just see, as soon as a person reaches out for the other, what does that mean? What does that mean? What's your reaction? Exactly, exactly, exactly. Keep going. What does every touch mean? Oh, every touch is fresh. It's all new. I want you to stay there at the end, stay there at the end. Who's going to let go? Who's going to walk away first? I'm going to try another thing now. We've played with the quality, the physical quality. I now want to explore the emotional quality, and I just want to try something that's a little bit playful. So the two of you are facing each other, but right from the very start, Lindsay, you've got a secret, okay? It's really funny, the secret, but you get all your power from not telling Perry what it is, and all Perry wants is to know what you know, okay? Let that infuse all of your moves. Don't switch that off. It's always got to be at the front of your brain, okay? Again, think of that tension at the start. The story, hold on, go back, go back. Let the story be alive with that tension. What is it that's in your head, Lindsay? How do I get that out of you? So look at her, it's playful. Right, come back. Last go, last go. Again, another presumption that we're making here is that we've made a string of material. It starts at the beginning, ends at the end, and it just continues like that. Any one of you can stop at any point, okay? That's where you get control. Think of this as a relationship. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do the move you want me to do, yeah? Or I'm not going to allow you to move. I'm going to hold you in this moment, and I know you want to escape. Think about the complexity of that. And we as an audience, we just watch. We just see what emerges. Okay, so you can play in many, many ways with that kind of thing. And you do it by testing the presumptions. What is it that we are presuming about this choreography? What haven't we tested yet? How can we look at this in a different way? So we've taken you through the lifting techniques, or some lifting techniques, and then we've shown you how to apply them, and then how to test them, how to explore, how to find meaning. Now that's really important. If you're wanting to explore and use lifts, you might be wanting to do that within text. You might be wanting to do that within an existing story. You've always got to ask yourself, why are we lifting? Why are we doing this? Why are we employing this technique? It can feel great, it can look spectacular, but it can be empty if it doesn't push the story forward. So ask yourself, why? And if it doesn't push the story forward, don't do it. Think of theatre making in a total sense. What is the best way to tell this story? Sometimes it's through words, sometimes it's through silence, sometimes it's through a beautifully crafted move, or sometimes it's just that moment of precision and stillness. Whichever one you choose, choose the one that tells the story best.
Once you've got your sequence, your lift line, the next thing you could do to make it more creative is change the space. So look at the space that you're working in, and are there any interesting places where you could put this sequence? And how does it change that sequence? So they made their lift sequence, their lift lines, and then they've put it into the alcove. And then one way that you could make these lifts even more creative is to add an extra person who wasn't part of the original sequence.
And we just want to look at what emerges from this and how you then again have to start adapting the sequence and the lifts that you found. So it's another creative way to evolve the material, starting from the basic of the lift lines.
I think it's also always asking, well, what does this extra person add? What lifts are telling the story, are pushing the story forward? Why are we doing these lifts? Why is this extra person in the space?